Microservices or monolith, this is one of the biggest debates in software architecture. Should you go with a simple monolithic app or break everything into microservices? The wrong choice can cost you time, money, and scalability nightmares. Let's break it all down. By the end of this video, you'll understand what monolithic and microservices architectures are, pros and cons of each approach, when to choose one over the other. Part 1. What is a monolithic architecture? Imagine an old-fashioned string of Christmas lights. You know, the classic kind where the bulbs are wired in series. Electricity flows through each bulb one after another. Now, if just one bulb burns out or comes loose, the entire strand goes dark. You're left wiggling and testing each bulb to find the culprit, because until that bad bulb is replaced, the whole string stays off. That's a monolithic application. A single large code base where all components, database, business logic, and UI are tightly integrated. How it works? Single code base, all features, authentication, payments, orders, user profiles are part of one application. Single database, one central database handling everything. Tightly coupled logic, changes to one part can affect the entire system. Easier to develop and deploy initially. Pros of monoliths. Easier to develop, all logic is in one place. Faster to deploy, no need to coordinate multiple services. Easier debugging, you don't need to trace requests across many services. Better for small teams or early-stage startups. Cons of monoliths. Harder to scale. Scaling, one part means scaling everything. Slower deployments in large projects. One bug can break everything. Difficult to maintain in the long run. Example. In the early days, companies like Amazon and Twitter started as monoliths, but they later moved to microservices as they scaled. Part 2. What is a microservices architecture? Imagine a modern string of LED Christmas lights. Unlike the old ones, these are wired in parallel, meaning each bulb gets power independently. If one bulb burns out, the rest stay lit. You can replace a single bulb without affecting the others, and even add more lights without rewiring the whole system. Just like microservices. Each part works independently, so failures don't bring everything down, and the scaling is easy. How it works. Application is split into independent services: user service, payment service, product service. Each service has its own database and logic. Services communicate via API. Pros of microservices. Highly scalable. You can scale only the services that need it. Faster development. Teams work independently. More fault tolerant. If one service crashes, the others keep running. Better technology flexibility. Each service can use different languages and databases. Cons of microservices. More complex. Managing multiple services, databases, and APIs is harder. Latency issues. Network calls between services add overhead. More operational cost. More services mean more servers, monitoring, and security concerns. Example. Netflix, Uber, and Amazon use microservices to handle millions of users simultaneously while scaling individual parts of their system. Part 3. When to choose monolith versus microservices. Choose monolith if you're a startup or a small team. You need fast development and deployment. Your app is not highly complex. You want easier debugging and maintenance. Choose microservices if you're building a large-scale system like Netflix or Uber. You need high scalability and fault tolerance. Your team is big enough to manage multiple services. You're okay with higher complexity and operational cost. Part 4. Hybrid approach, the best of both worlds. Some companies start with a monolith and later migrate to microservices. Recap. Key takeaways. Monolith. Simpler but harder to scale. Microservices. More scalable but more complex. Start with monolith if you're small. Move to microservices when scaling. Hybrid approaches can give flexibility. Question for you: are you working with monoliths or microservices? Drop a comment below. Want a deep dive on microservices design patterns? Let me know.